Welcome. Today's lesson is an introduction to rhetoric and the rhetorical situation. I'm Dawn Knight, an English teacher from Westfield, Indiana. So what will we learn today? We have two focuses today. The first is to learn what rhetoric is, and the second is to familiarize you with the rhetorical situation. So first, let's look at a brief illustration of rhetoric. After the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., there was rioting in over 100 cities in the U.S. Two major cities were not among them. One was Memphis, Tennessee, where Martin Luther King Jr. had spoken one day before his assassination on April 3, 1968. The other was Indianapolis, Indiana, where Robert Kennedy spoke on April 4, 1968, upon hearing the news of King's assassination. Writer Tim Wendell said, "To this day, many people believe that was due to the words spoken when so many were listening." This is an illustration of the power of words, or rhetoric. So what is rhetoric? It's the study of effective, persuasive language use. In other words, it's the power of words. So we do this because it's really about empowering students. Understanding rhetoric enables you to understand and participate better in conversations about important issues in the world. It gives you a voice, and the skills transfer to college and well beyond. So the first step to understanding rhetoric and using it ourselves is to analyze how other writers use it. In AP Language and Composition, there are 3 essays on the end of course exam that will assess you on the skills you learn in AP Language and Composition. One of those is the rhetorical analysis. In other words, you'll be analyzing how effectively a writer used language. Today's lesson will apply directly to the rhetorical analysis essay. It will also help you with the multiple choice exam, and as I said, the skills transfer well beyond. So one of the ways that we begin to analyze rhetoric is to look at the rhetorical situation. That's the components you see on the screen here. So one is exigence. It's what prompted the message to be spoken or written in the first place. One is purpose, why the speaker is conveying a message. Audience, who the speaker is speaking to. The context or circumstances surrounding the situation. The writer is who is doing the writing, and then the message is what the writer wants the audience to think or to know. So there are other ways to think about the rhetorical situation that you can also use, or that your teacher may have gone over with you. One of those is the rhetorical triangle: the speaker, audience, and purpose. So when we think about the rhetorical triangle, we think about who is doing the speaking, what is their persona? Are they an expert? Are they a comedian? Are they a scholar? We want to know about the audience. Who are they? What do they already know about the subject? What is their attitude about it? Are they excited about it? Are they angry about it? The purpose, why are they writing? And it's the answers to these questions and the interaction among these components that help determine the structure of the argument and the language and choices that a writer makes. So this also gets at the rhetorical situation. We also have SOAPstone, which is the acronym you see here, and your teacher might use this or something else. The whole idea here is that you use what works for you to analyze the rhetorical situation of a piece. They all accomplish the same goal of delving deeper into the rhetorical situation. It's important to understand that writers make choices about how they're going to convey their message based on the rhetorical situation. For example, a politician speaking to supporters at a rally is going to have a different tone than someone trying to persuade voters of another political party to vote for them. So depending on the writer's purpose, the tone could be formal or inspirational, sarcastic. These are all choices made based on the rhetorical situation. Let's look at an example. So this is the Robert Kennedy speech in Indianapolis that we referred to earlier when we talked about the power of words and rhetoric. And you can find this speech online. We're not actually going to listen to it. But the exigence of the speech was the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. The purpose was to inform the crowd that Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated and to eulogize him and honor his memory. The audience was residents of Indianapolis who were attending a political rally. The context was April 4th, 1968, right after the assassination of Dr. King, and it was in Indianapolis, Indiana. The writer was Democratic presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, the brother of John F. Kennedy, who had also been assassinated. And the message was a reminder of King's message of peace and nonviolence. Okay, so what should we take away from this lesson? The rhetorical situation is an important first step in analyzing texts. Writers make specific choices depending on the interaction of these elements. The most effective writers understand how to use rhetoric in a powerful way. These are people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy who understood the power of words. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you will join me again for the next lesson. There's a lot going on in the world, so before we go, I just want to remind you to be kind to yourself and to others. Have a great day.